On today's episode, we'll be looking at the concept of elasticity of supply. So, with respect to elasticity of supply, we mean that quantity of a commodity which is supply that a producer is willing and able to offer for sale can increase, that means expand, or decrease, that means contract, depending on any of the determinants that affect supply. So, with respect to elasticity of supply, we only have one type of elasticity of supply, and that is price elasticity of supply. And that means, as regards elasticity of supply, we are going to be limiting it to only price elasticity of supply. So let me do a brush up on the concept of elasticity of supply once again. When we say elasticity of supply, we are saying the quantity of a commodity which a supplier is willing and able to offer for sale at a particular time and at a particular market price can expand or contract. So this concept measures how that quantity supply reacts or responds to change in any of the factors that affect supply. So basically, those factors that affect or determinants that affect the supply or the quantity supply of a commodity, they are categorized into two. The first is the price determinants, and that simply means the price of the commodity. So the price of the commodity affects the quantity supply in the sense that when prices rise, the quantity supply rises. And when the price of a commodity falls, the quantity supply of that commodity also falls. Ceteris paribus, all things being equal. So that's with respect to how price affects the quantity supply. Then we also have other determinants, which we also call non-price determinants. So non-price determinants, for example, we have cost of production, uh, factor inputs, that's the prices of factor inputs, the level of technology, the number of producers, imposition of tax, granting of subsidies, and all of the non-price determinants that may affect the supply of a commodity. So most times when the price of a commodity rises, the quantity supply rises, and when the price of a commodity falls, the quantity supply of that commodity will also fall. So the concept that talks about how the quantity supply of the commodity will react to change in the price of the commodity is called price elasticity of supply. So don't forget, I did say that the only type of elasticity of supply that we have is price elasticity of supply. So here we are saying that price is the major determinant of the quantity supply of a commodity, because price and quantity supply have positive and direct relationship, and it means when price rises, quantity supply rises, and when price falls, quantity supply falls. And don't forget, when price rises, quantity supply will increase. That's that means the supplier will be able to maximize more profits. But when price drops or falls, the quantity supply will also reduce or falls. And that is basically for the supplier to minimize the cost of production. So let me try and rephrase the definition of price elasticity of supply now. So price elasticity of supply measures the responsiveness, the extent, the level, the magnitude of supply to change in the price of the commodity. So that's basically the definition of price elasticity of supply. So anytime we talk about elasticity of supply, we actually mean price elasticity of supply. So it's just basically talking about how the quantity supply will react to change in the price of the commodity. So having gotten the definition and the explanation of the concept of price elasticity of supply out of the way, so let's talk about how it is being measured, how price elasticity of supply is being measured. So the measurement, or most times how it is defined or calculated. So price elasticity of supply is measured as percentage change in quantity supply divided by percentage change in price. So don't forget, I did say that with respect to elasticity, we are trying to measure the percentage change in one variable. What will be the resultant percentage change in the other variable? So there are two variables we are looking at here. That's the change in price. What will be the resultant, change in the quantity supply of that commodity? So here now, change in price is independent variable, whereas change in quantity supply is dependent variable. So independent variable determines dependent variable. So any change in price will result in or will bring about change in quantity supply. So like I said, change in price is independent variable, and independent variable determines dependent variable, which is change in quantity supply. And dependent variable is determined by independent variable, which is change in price. So independent variable is change in price, and that will bring about a particular or certain percentage change in the quantity supply. So this that we have here, that's percentage change in quantity supply divided by percentage change in price, is summarized. We have been able to synthesize it for you to make it easy for you, so that should we are solving question regarding price elasticity of supply, that will pose no problem to you. So we have been able to synthesize this formula to this, and as we get along, I'll be proving how we arrive at this using these measurements that we have regarding the price elasticity of supply. But before I try to prove how we got this using this, let me quickly explain the types of price elasticity of supply that we have. So most times in exams, students are usually asked to calculate price elasticity of supply. And it's not most times enough for students to be able to calculate the price elasticity of supply, but to also being able to interpret the elastic coefficient which they've gotten for a particular commodity. So this boils down to the interpretation of the price elasticity of supply that has been calculated for a particular product in question. So these are the types of price elasticity of supply we have. They are categorized, or it is categorized into five. So we have unitary, fairly elastic, fairly inelastic, perfectly elastic, and perfectly inelastic. So let's get to explain each of these one after the other. So unitary price elasticity of supply. So when we say unitary, or most times they call it units. So units means one. So each time you calculate your price elasticity of supply and the coefficient you get is one, that will be interpreted as unitary. That's basically what we have. And with respect to this, how did we come about this one? It means it's a percentage change in price will bring about equal percentage change in the quantity supply. What that means is that, let's say there is a 5% change in price, and that leads to exactly 5% change in the quantity supply. So 5% change in price brings about 5% change in quantity supply. So here we have 5% change in price. So percentage change in price will bring about equal percentage change in the quantity supply. So here we have 5% also. So 5% divided by 5%, that gives us 1. So that's how we come about this 1 as the elastic coefficient for unitary. That's that. So a 5% change in price brings about equal change, and that's 5% change in the quantity supply. And this divided by this, you have 1. So without price changing, quantity supply will not change, because this determines this. This is independent variable, whereas change in quantity supply is dependent variable. Then let's talk about fairly elastic. Fairly elastic means the elastic coefficient is greater than 1. but less than infinity. And by that we mean a 5% change in price brings about a greater change in the quantity supply. So that means a percentage change in price brings about a more proportional change in the quantity supply. So with respect to that, we have, let's say, price changes by 5%. And that led to a more proportional change in the quantity supply. Let's say supply increases by or changes by 10%. Look at this. So 10% divided by 5%, that gives us 2. So 2, being the price elasticity of supply coefficient, is greater than 1 but less than infinity. So 2 is greater than 1, basically. That's what we mean. So it's greater than 1 but less than infinity. That means it has a limit. This 2 has a limit. You cannot have infinity. No, this is greater than 1. You can have 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and all that. So that's with respect to fairly elastic as the coefficient, as one of the types of price elasticity of supply. Then 3 now, fairly inelastic. Fairly inelastic means the elastic coefficient is greater than 0 but less than 1. So by that we mean a percentage change in price brings about little change in the quantity supply. So let me just try and run through with respect to the markets in which all these price elasticity of supply is obtainable. So with respect to fairly elastic, it means if as a producer or supplier, the elastic coefficient of the product is fairly elastic, it means your particular goods you supply or the goods you supply into the market has close substitutes. So that means the other producer or you as a producer, the change in the price of your products will bring about a more proportional change in the supply of your products. That's what it means. So if you increase your price, other competitors, they will have to perhaps supply more or less depending on that. But basically what this fairly elastic means is that your goods has close substitutes. But with respect to fairly inelastic, it means the supply of your products will react less to the change in the price of your products. And here it means your goods as uh, let me say poor substitutes, basically poor substitute, because a percentage change in the price of your products will lead to little change in the supply of your products, and that's because you have poor substitute as a producer. So here, what do we have? We have a percentage change in price. That means how we come about this greater than 0 but less than 1. A percentage change in price brings about little change in the quantity supply. So let's say price changes by 5%. Then that led to little change. Let's say 1% change in the quantity supply of the product. So 1 divided by 5, that's 0.2. So 0.2 is less than 1, but greater than 0. So any price elasticity coefficient for a particular product that is less than 1 but greater than 0 will be interpreted as fairly inelastic. So I hope that is understood. And I did say it is with respect to a particular producer that has poor substitutes. Maybe the producer is a monopolist. So you all know a monopolist. A monopolist is one single seller having many buyers without a close substitute. But here there is a poor substitute, basically. That's this. So that's that. Then for now, perfectly elastic. Perfectly elastic means at a fixed market price, different quantities are supplied into the market. So here, the market in which this is obtainable is a perfect market. And perfect market is where you have large number of buyers and sellers, but basically large number of sellers. And the price in a perfect market, like we've emphasized, is mostly determined by the forces of demand and supply. So the price in this market, which is perfect market, is constant. That's the equilibrium price at which every seller must bring all their goods and sell. So the price is 5 naira. Bring your units. You may bring 1 million units. I may bring 500,000 units. You may bring 200 units. But all that means is that everyone will have to sell all those units at a fixed market price. So here, the price doesn't change, but different quantities are supplied by different producers, and that's or those will be sold at a fixed market price. So here, the price doesn't change. So this is basically what we have. So the price doesn't change. That's constant. So in economics, we denote constant by zero. Then the quantity supply, let's say, it varies. Let's say 2%, changes by 2%. So 2% divided by zero, that gives us infinity. Infinity means the number of zeros you can get in these two is not known. That's basically that. And in reality, what this means is that as a producer, if the elastic coefficient of your product is perfectly elastic, what that means is that the market is highly competitive. There are a large number of producers. So when you try to increase your price by a little, your supply may reduce to zero. Yeah, exactly. Your supply will so much reduce in the sense that all the buyers will have to move to other sellers whose price has remained, constant in the market. So you must not tamper with the, price. Maybe you're trying to make more, more revenue, and you try to increase your price a little bit. It won't work because this is a case of perfect market. So as a seller, if you are faced with a perfectly elastic coefficient, all that you need to do is try to supply more into the market, and you sell at a fixed market price. Supply more, because the more you supply, the more you sell, and the more the profit. That's basically this. So the elastic coefficient is infinity. So any number divided by zero will give you infinity. Be it 1 divided by zero, you will have infinity. 5 divided by zero, you will have infinity. So that's that. Then last but not least, that's perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic, the elastic coefficient is equal to zero. And it means a fixed quantity of a commodity is supplied to different consumers at different market prices. That means, let's say, for example, as a producer, I supply, let's say, a particular goods, fixed supply. Then I sell that particular fixed supply of goods to different consumers at different market price. So I sell to, let's say, consumer A at 100 naira. I sell to consumer B at 250 naira. I sell to consumer C at, let's say, 50 naira. The same fixed quantity. So that's basically what it means for a price elasticity of supply to have zero. So a fixed quantity of a particular commodity is supplied to different consumers at different market prices. So the type of firm that usually have this type of price elasticity of supply, which is perfectly inelastic, is considered to be a pure monopolist. In fact, what this means is that that firm in that industry, that firm itself is the industry itself. That means, let's say, it's the only one that has a larger share of that particular industry. Let's say it takes almost 90% or 80% of the share in that particular industry. So such a firm will be able to sell a fixed quantity of a particular commodity to different consumers at different market price. So for example now, Dangote Cement. Dangote, being a pure monopolist in terms of the supply of cement to Nigerians, can sell that fixed bag of cement, which is, I think, is 1,000 or 150 kg, I don't know. That 150 kg A can sell that 150 kg to different consumers in Nigeria at a fixed market, at a different market price. So it will sell to, let's say, people in Lagos for, let's say, some part of Lagos that the people live there that are living there are wealthy. It could sell to them at, let's say, 15,000 for a bag of cement, and some areas it could sell to them at 12,000, and other areas maybe 9,000 or thereabouts, and that's we call price discrimination. So the only firm or the only market that's price discrimination is usually adopted is a pure monopolist. So price discrimination simply means selling a fixed quantity of a commodity to different consumers at different market price. So that's that. So the same thing goes for all these beverage company. Let's say bottled water company. Beverages most times. The contents is most times 75 cl. Let's make use of 75 cl. So that 75 cl, let's say we have Malta Guinness, we have Martina, we have Amstel Malta and all that. The contents in that particular container is fixed. Let's say 75 cl. Then different companies will sell that to different consumers at different market price. So the content is fixed, but the price at which all those beverages are sold is at different market price. So each firm most time is considered a mini monopolist in such a situation. But in terms of price discrimination, it's mostly adopted by a firm who has a larger, percentage of the share in a particular industry. So that's price discrimination, selling a fixed quantity of a commodity at different market price to different consumers. So these are the types of price elasticity of supply. Unitary is equal to 1. Fairly elastic is greater than 1 but less than infinity. Fairly inelastic, greater than 0 but less than 1. Perfectly elastic, infinity. Then perfectly inelastic, that is 0. So haven't understood all these concepts, then let me try and synthesize this regarding how we come about all this. Then we'll be able to do justice to these questions that we have. That's with respect to these products that we have. So you've just got to stay to the end of this class in order for you to be able to learn a great deal regarding what the concept of elasticity of supply is about. So shall we? Yeah. So let me do justice to these parts so that I'll be able to so before now we've talked about how you measure change in a variable. Let's say the variable in question is price. If you want to measure change in price, this sign means change. In economics, we denote price with P. So if you want to measure change in any variable, so let's take price as a case here or a case study. So change in price will be new price minus the old price. That's how we measure change in any variable. If it is quantity, the new quantity minus the old quantity, that's it. So let's say the new price is 8 and the old price is, let's say, 5. So here, the change in variable is 3. That's the change in price is 3 here. That's what we mean. New price minus old price. That's that. So anytime you want to measure change in a variable, it is always new minus old. Now, if you want to measure percentage change in a variable, percentage change in a variable, let's go it further now. So percentage change in, let's say, percentage change in price. Percentage change in price. If we want to measure percentage change in price now, it's quite a little bit different from just change in price. So percentage change in price now is we have the new price. So the new price is P, N is new. So new price minus the old price. Old price is 0. then divided by old price times 100 over 1. So this is how to measure percentage change in any variable and price in this respect. So new price minus old price divided by old price times 100 over 1. So to measure percentage change in quantity supply now, so we are going to have that's new quantity minus old quantity divided by old quantity times 100 over 1, just the way we went about this. Then divided by percentage change in price. This is what we have. So that's new price minus old price divided by old price times 100 over 1. So 100 cancel out 100. Then here, don't forget, I did say here that new minus old is the same thing as change in price. So change in price means new minus old. That's what we have. So new quantity minus old quantity will give us change in quantity divided by old quantity. Then this division sign. So new price minus old price is same thing as change in price. Change in price, sorry. So divided by old price. Then if this division sign change to multiplication sign, then we are going to have this denominator come up and this numerator come down. So here now, so we have change in quantity divided by old quantity times old price divided by old change in quantity. Sorry, change in price. Change in price. So this goes up and this comes down. So that's what we've done here. So then we collect like terms. Like terms means those variables that look the same, we bring them together. So this and this, they look the same, we bring them to the left hand side. And these and these, they look the same, we bring them to the right hand side. This and this looks the same because they both have change. And this one, they both have old. So here we have change in quantity divided by change in price. We brought them to this left hand side times old price divided by old quantity. So this is the formula we are going to be using. So we've arrived at this that we have now. Can you see? So this is the price elasticity of supply. So you would notice that there is no constant minus there or negative sign. With respect to price elasticity of demand, there is a negative sign because there is an inverse or negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. Because the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. And the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. So that's why we have negative sign with respect to demand. But with respect to supply, that's price elasticity of supply. There is no, there is a positive relationship, positive and direct relationship between price and quantity supply. So that's why we have positive here. We don't seem to have negative because of that positive relationship between price and quantity supply. So for supply, that's price elasticity of supply. No negative sign, but positive. So this is the formula we are going to be putting to use as regards doing justice to these question we have here. So without much ado, let's do justice to these three products which we have. So I think I need to rub up. So we've been able to synthesize this that we have here. We've been able to prove it. So I think that is understood. So I need to rub off this part as well. So this is a practice question. So we are required to calculate the elasticity of supply for products Echo, Plus, and Aboy and interpret your answers. So let's get to do that now together. So let's start with solution now. Solution. So the first product is echo, product echo, product echo. So the formula we are going to be putting to use, that's change in quantity, that's QS, divided by change in price, times old price divided by old quantity. So this is the formula we are going to be putting to use, that's price elasticity of supply. So we have to get all these variables, which we have. So shall we? So let's get change in quantity supply. So change in quantity supply. Don't forget, change in is what? The new quantity minus what? The old what? Quantity. So the new quantity is 150 minus the old quantity is 100. So 150 minus 100, that gives us 50 units. And don't forget, your quantity is expressed in units. Then let's get change in price. So change in price is new price minus the old price. So new price is given as 10 minus the old price is given as 5. Then that gives us 5. Then let's get the old price. The old price is given as, which is the same thing as the initial price. So it's given as 5. Then the old quantity is given as 100 units. So now that we've gotten all these variables, then let's put them in a bracket and get our elastic coefficients. So price elasticity of supply, we have change in quantity, that's 50 divided by change in price is 5 times, that's old price is 5, which you've gotten it, then old quantity is 100. So this is what we have. Then let's do the multiplication. 50 times 5, that gives us 250 divided by 5 times 100, that's 500. So price elasticity of supply now. 250 divided by 500, that should give us that's we got 0.5. So this 0.5 we've gotten is a price elasticity of supply for products echo. Then we need to interpret it because we are asked to interpret it as well. So to interpret it based on what we've explained earlier, that we have 5 types. We have unitary, fairly elastic, fairly inelastic, perfectly elastic, and perfectly inelastic. So this will be interpreted as fairly inelastic because it is less than 1 but greater than 0. So to interpret it now, so that's fairly inelastic. So most times it is not always enough for students to be able to calculate the elastic coefficients for any product, but also to be able to interpret the elastic coefficient which you have gotten for that particular product. So this interpretation shows how intelligent you are as a student. That's with respect to interpretation. So there is the elastic coefficient, which you are asked to get, then the interpretation, that's that. So that's with respect to product echo. Then let's solve for plus now. So I hope this is understood. Good. So products plus. So also we need to get all these variables. Then we have change in QS, that's quantity supply. For plus now, these are the variables that relate to it. So 250 minus 250, that's 250, which is the new, minus 250. So 250 minus 250, that gives us 0 units. Then let's get change in price. So change in price is new price minus old price, that's 30 minus 25. And that gives us 5 naira. Then old price now. Old price is given as 25 for products plus now. So 25. Then old quantity now is given as 250 units. So make sure you express your quantity in units and your price in any currency that you are given. Very important. Then price elasticity of supply now. So we have change in quantity supply is 0 divided by the change in price which we've gotten as 5 times the old price is 25 and the old quantity is 250. So 0 times any number is 0. So 0 times 25, that's 0. 5 times 250, that should give us 1,250. Then 0 divided by any number, like we've talked about earlier on, 0 divided by any number is going to give you 0. 0. So price elasticity of supply now for products plus is 0. Then to interpret this now, I hope someone will like to guess what this will be interpreted as. Fairly elastic? No. Inelastic? No. Perfectly elastic? Perfectly elastic. Is that okay? No. Someone said no. So perfectly inelastic. Exactly. So it's perfectly what? Inelastic because it is equal to 0. So it's perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic. So that's the interpretation with respect to the requirements by the examiner. So I hope that is understood as well. So let's solve for the last product, which is a boy. Shall we? Yes. So let me try rub up this part. So the last penalist, which is so for products a boy now. So products. So we get all these variables as well. So change in QS, that's quantity supply, that's 500 minus 250. So 500 minus 250, that gives us 250 units. Then change in price now. So change in price is given as new price minus old price. Don't forget, change is always new minus old. So 12 minus 6, that gives us 6 naira. Then the old price is given as 6 naira. 6 naira. Then old quantity is given as that's 250 units. 250 units. So now that we've gotten all these variables, then let's get our price elasticity of supply coefficients. So here we have 250 divided by 6, which is the change in price, times the old price is 6. So old quantity is 250. So 250 times 6, I have to be sure here. So 250 times 6, that gives us 15. Then 6 times 250, the same. So it's 15. So 15 divided by 15, that gives us 1. So price elasticity of supply for products boy now is 1. So this is very simple to understand. Should you have any question relating to this that we've solved, I think you all should be able to uh, solve it accurately and correctly without having any fear solving such a question. So we've gotten the price elasticity of supply coefficients, but we haven't interpreted it. So let's interpret it now. So the interpretation, since the price elasticity of supply coefficient is equal to 1, this should be interpreted as someone should try to give us the interpretation. 1 seconds, 2 seconds, okay. It will be interpreted as unitary. So it's interpreted as unitary price elasticity of supply because it is equal to 1. So that's the solution to the products given, which are 3 products, Eco Plus and Aboy. So at this juncture, this is where we are going to be drawing the curtain today. And should you are having trouble understanding what we've done today, You can tag the minutes of the video that you didn't quite understand. Because, but I know very well that this has been, solved using simple languages so that so as for everyone to understand perfectly. So thank you all for your time. I want to appreciate you all, and I will always appreciate you all for coming over and over again to watch our video. Please like this video because the fact that you've been with me this far means you really like this video. Please push the like button, subscribe to our YouTube page, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so that each time we put out a video, that will come straight directly to your smartphones, to whatever gadgets you're using basically. And don't forget to continue to help share our videos to friends and relatives whom this video might be of great help. So what more can I say? I wish you all an excellent and a great and beautiful journey ahead in your academic endeavor. So from me to you, it's bye for now. Bye bye. I'll see you on my next video. Do have a good one. Bye bye. How many minutes?